Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. It's Dr. Janice Hooker Fortman with Relationship Matters. This show is all about relationships, personal relationships, and professional relationships, and the communication patterns that you have to use, or that you should use, to maintain those positive relationships. We have all different kinds of guests. We have housewives, we have hypnotists, we have dance instructors, we have entrepreneurs, because in order to maintain whatever it is you're doing, your relationships, you've got to be positive and you have to know how to communicate. Now, for my little soapbox. I am vaccinated. I cannot wait until I get my booster shot. Now, I know I have friends, I have viewers who don't believe in the vaccine, don't believe in being vaccinated. But let me say this. If you are watching the news, you will see that now the coronavirus is attacking children. I think they said last week 252,000 children nationwide came down with the virus. So my thing is, even if you don't want to get it for yourself, get it for someone that you love. Get it for your grandchild, your child, someone else's child, your mom, your dad. Get it for them, because it's not going anywhere until we all do what is best for all of us as a nation. Now, as far as I'm concerned, now this is my opinion. When you're not getting that shot, you're being selfish. You're thinking only about yourself. Now, I know there are all kinds of reasons why people are not getting them. Some people say, they're shooting things in your body. It's going to change your DNA. It's the mark of the beast, or whatever. Of course, I'm not one of those people. Of course, you know that. But just think about it, because I think the worst thing in the world for you as a parent, a grandparent, or just someone who's around children, to find out that because you were not vaccinated, that you passed it on to someone else and they died. So that's me and my soapbox. So you can agree and you cannot agree. But anyway, I'm happy to see all of you today. And we have a guest. She is the virtual assistant to the stars. She is fantastic. Now, let me say this. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. Do you have a project-based task? Something that you might only need to do once? Do you need to do some research, make some phone calls, do some data entry? Are you a startup business or entrepreneur, or maybe you've been an entrepreneur for a long time, had a business for a long time? Do you want to expand your client base? Do you need assistance with scheduling some appointments, collections, or anything like that? Now, if you answered yes, or if you just got a project, you can have a personal project and you're not an entrepreneur or business owner, but it's something that you need doing, then you need to contact Karen Brown. She is a virtual assistant extraordinaire. and she's mine. So, and I found her, and I'm not letting her go. But anyway, I want to bring on to you the virtual assistant to the stars, Ms. Karen Brown. Hi, Karen.
Hi, Dr. Jan. How are you today?
I'm just great. How are you?
I'm wonderful.
It's good to see you.
You as well. Thank you for that fabulous introduction. You are something else.
Well, I mean, I give credit where credit is due.
I
I mean,
appreciate that.
you're the virtual assistant to the stars.
Mhm.
So now I want to go all the way back, and I want you to tell us what you did before you became a virtual assistant, because years ago there was there wasn't such a thing as a virtual assistant. As a matter of fact, it took me a while to try to figure out what is a virtual assistant. Now I'm going to say this. It says here, wait a minute, on my computer about shutting down and installing and restarting. No. What the heck? Hold on.
Technology.
Wait a minute. Wait, pick a day. I have to do this, audience. I'm going to pick Sunday, September 12th. And okay, pick a day. I hope that does it. Schedule a time. Pick a day. Sunday, September 12th, 2021, 8:23 p.m. You know what? Okay, so that's that. I don't believe that. Can you imagine if we sitting up here like
Technology works when it works.
anyway? I want you to tell us what were you doing before you became a virtual assistant?
Well, Dr. Jan, I have been an executive assistant, has been my career for 30 plus years. And prior to becoming a virtual assistant, it'll be almost a year coming up at the end of September when I made it official. But prior to that, I was really trying to figure out my next move. And then the pandemic hit. Okay. So I was at home like everybody else, waiting for this pandemic that I thought was going to be very short lived. So I was looking for a job, trying to make up my mind what was going to be my next move. And the pandemic was going longer and longer and longer. So throughout my job search, I was just connecting with people, checking in on with people, seeing how they were doing, and then I started doing some volunteer work, project based, as you mentioned earlier, just helping some people out. And specifically, one of my clients, her and her husband had both had COVID, so her business had really been stalled out during that time. So she was trying to make some connections. So I started making phone calls for her, setting up appointments. And this went on for a few months. And then she said, Karen, I don't know how I've gotten along without you. Maybe we've got something here that we could work with. Let's see if we can take it to another level. And so we just thought about how we were just working virtually. And then the internet companies start telling you, to boost your speed because everybody's doing Zoom and you want to have the best broadband that you can. And we just kept going on and on in figuring it out. And we decided I was going to stay with her. And then I just started sharing that information, looking out for people that maybe had their own non-for-profit business, that were working from home, that had started a business. And I went from there.
Oh, okay. So how do you find your clients, or how did you?
Actually, I've been able to find my clients through word of mouth.
Oh,
You do a good job, and then someone either sees what you're doing through the client, or somebody just happens to speak about what they're doing, and they're like, well, how are you doing all of that? They were like, well, I have an assistant. An assistant? What do you need an assistant for? And then when you tell them, they say, oh, I've got a pile on my desk that I haven't been able to get to. And this is something that I could utilize. And so I just do what I call an inquiry intake with the prospect and get them to actually kind of jog their mind to find out what it is that they need. And then we have a meeting and we talk about it, and then we go from there.
And so, do you do so mainly do you do like one-time projects, or do you have clients that like you keep for a long period of time? Or how do you do that? I mean,
Well,
we're
when we meet and we have this intake, we determine at that time, because when people start to really brainstorm and do a brain dump, they find lots of things that need to be done. So my job is to funnel it down and prioritize, and then sometimes we do start with one project, and that project goes so well, then it might lead into another project, or that project could be closed off and now we open up another project. But then, to specifically answer your question, there are some times where it's just a one and done. There's sometimes where it's ongoing, or that one and done can come back later on, a few months later, and say, do you have any bandwidth where you can help me with this? It might be a month, it could be just a week long project.
okay. So
Okay.
do you have a particular expertise, or can you just do everything?
Well, having been an executive assistant for 30 plus years, I have had experience in so many different industries that I'm able to be flexible and to learn things quickly. I have worked with construction companies, I've worked with restaurants, I've worked in the office environment, and the thing that I like most about being an executive assistant is that no day is the same. I really thrive with the variety and of not knowing, because the not knowing gives me an opportunity to learn. And I like that. I like that.
Okay, all
Okay.
right.
But I would say that my niche would kind of be non for profits.
Okay.
Okay. Because I like the giving back aspect. I like where you're working with people that might not necessarily have mainstream resources for whatever it is that they're doing, or they're going through. And there's so much information behind the scenes when you're dealing with a non for profit, that I just find it very exciting and informative. So that would be my niche, I would say.
Okay, all righty. So now, I know before we went on, you were telling me something, how you helped someone or a couple personally. So do you do a lot of assisting on with people who don't have businesses, or do you do mostly with businesses? And which do you prefer? I know you say you prefer nonprofits, and so usually that's a business. But what about, you know, like if someone says, if I say, well, you know what, personally, I don't have a business, but I got a filing cabinet, or I got a bunch of papers laying around that need to be filed away and need to be organized. Do you do stuff like that? So
Yes.
I'm asking is because my audience, they're entrepreneurs and business owners, but then there are retirees, there are people that say, girl, I need, my closet is this, or my bookshelves, I've got so many books, I need to go through these books, and stuff like that.
Right. Dr. Jan, I have done it all. Okay. I have done it all. I have worked with individuals that don't necessarily have their own business, like you said, but they could be on the board of an organization, and that requires them to be organized. They might need to type some letters, and they're not into that. They might need to do, I've helped people when there's been a death in the family and they want to send out their thank you cards for the bereavement gifts and things that they've received. I'll help them keep track of the people that sign in on the guest book at the funeral service, or the cards that come in, and we'll catalog them and then make mailing labels. Sometimes people have huge mailing lists for holiday gift with their clients. They might take all the organizations, the families, the businesses that they have, and they want to send out a massive card list. Okay. I can do that. Okay. I can be available if you're traveling and you need me to come and water your plants. I've done that for my cousin that used to be really really busy, and so it's just a matter of the fact that there are so many things that we can do to be helpful. That's the non-for-profit side, or the volunteering, or just to feel a need for someone that has that need. You don't have to be an expert at everything. You just have to be willing.
Oh, okay. All right. And you are, I have you on today because, of course, you are my virtual assistant. But I never knew, I would get all of these ads. I'd see all of these ads, and I'd get this, a lot of information from different people, requests, I can be your virtual assistant. And my thing was, what the heck is a virtual assistant, and how can you assist somebody if you're not, like in their presence, if you're not face to face. So now, but when you started out, well, you were an executive assistant first, so therefore you were, in the presence of people. So was there, how was that transition? Was it easy for you to make that transition?
I considered it very easy, Dr. Jan, because even when, as a executive assistant working in an office, the people that you are supporting are not in the office all the time. That's the beauty of having an assistant, is that they are the person that holds the fort down while you go off and do what you have to do. Okay. So to me, it was a very easy transition. It was no different than me texting you saying, did you make it to the restaurant on time? Okay. Calling you, sending you an email, letting you know that while you were in the meeting, your flight changed and you're not going to be able to get out of Miami tonight. So I rebooked your hotel. Go back to the hotel. Don't go to the airport. Okay. So it's the same thing. It's just now everybody's virtual, and I love it. I find it much more productive working from home, because you don't have that water cooler conversation. When I go to my coffee pot, there's nobody there but me. Okay, so I don't have to stand in line. I just really like it. I like working my own schedule, and I love the fact that I still feel successful every day because I know that I'm helping someone do something. Like, I wonder who that client is. Oh, there's Lauren. Just
Wait a minute. I'm looking at this. He says, no, she's my virtual assistant. Uh,
there's enough of me to go around. All
Thank
right.
you, Karen.
And that's because you can be organized. There is so much work that is not done on screen. You know what I'm saying? You set up a meeting with someone, like we have our weekly meetings. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
then we've met, and now I'm off and running with what it is that I need to do. Okay. I don't have to type 9 to 5. I can do that, at any time if I need to type up a letter or something like that. Okay. So to me, it's very easy. I love the flexibility. I love knowing that I'm helping people solve a problem. Sometimes don't even know that they have a problem. And sometimes through just brainstorming or brain dump, what I call it, when you get all your thoughts and out on paper, you come up to another level. Just like you attended the book club, the virtual book club.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Okay, that client, I kept saying, "Oh, you got to get your book out. You got to get your book out. You should have a book club." And she said, "You do know we're in a pandemic." And I said, "Yeah, but you can still have a book club." And she said, "How?" I said, "Virtually." See, and if you just keep throwing that word out there, virtually, people are having their board meetings virtually. You know, people are having cocktail hours virtually. They're having book clubs virtually. It's all doable. Like my niece says, it's all figure outable. You just have to think about it.
A question came in from a different platform. It says, "What main thing have you done differently from when you first started your profession as a virtual assistant?"
I'm not sure what that question is really asking.
So I'm just reading how it came through. So I guess it would mean when you first started, okay, you started when you first started out being a virtual assistant. Have you changed the way you get your clients, or the way you do things, or did you start out this particular way, and then you're doing the same thing, thinking the same ways, looking for the
Well,
same clients?
no, because I've had some clients come and go because the project was finished. Okay, uh, I've had clients who we've moved on to different things that we're doing. So therefore, that would be a term. I think we could say that business has grown. All right. As far as how I've got my clients, I still have not had to advertise. If that's the question, okay,
Okay.
it's been word of mouth referrals.
Okay.
Okay, and just not being afraid to, or hesitant I should say, in as you're networking with people, because you can still network virtually, and when you're just sharing what's going on, what's, catching up with people, it just opens doors. When they say a closed mouth can't doesn't get fed,
Right.
you've got to be your own spokesperson. And
Yeah.
even if I'm not talking about it in terms of getting more clients, I'm just sharing what it is that I'm doing because I'm excited about it. It gives me energy, it gives me joy. I'm happy to do what I'm doing. To me, this is the best thing. I wouldn't care if they opened up an office building across the street. I'm working virtually.
Okay. Okay.
I love it. I really love it.
So tell me, Karen, do you have to have particular qualifications to be a virtual assistant? Do you have to be certified or licensed? Any particular qualifications?
Your qualification would be your skill set, and for you to be able to build relationships with the people that you're working for. You can't be shy. You can't be hesitant to say what it is that you're thinking. You have to be responsible for your the quality of your work, let's say, for your actionable items. You have to be a little proactive and aggressive at times. One of my clients calls me the sergeant, but I'm here to be your reminder. And I can't be timid when if something gets lost in translation or gets lost in the shuffle. I've got to be able to say, text you. I've got to be able to work in the chat box on Voxer, if that's on Zoom, if that's the platform that we're using. And in terms of certification, you can get certified with maybe some of your programs and your processes if you want. But like I said, if you're willing to learn the different products that your client has or what their systems are all about, then you're getting your on the job training like you would on any other job. People hire you based on your resume and based on how good you interview, and then you come to the workplace and you learn what it is that you need to learn by asking questions.
Okay, so Lauren has a question, and he says, "So how does a person know when they actually need a virtual assistant?
Well, I would say that if you're doing things that are not making you money, but that are necessary for your business, that might be a question that you would ask yourself. Is this something that I could delegate to a virtual assistant? Okay,
Oh,
that
okay.
might be one thing. Okay, because if you're missing, or if you're missing meetings because you're not reading your email, you could develop a system where, as you're talking to somebody on the phone or on email, and you could say, yes, I do want to meet with you, I'm going to connect you with my virtual assistant and she'll work to get us a meeting done. Boom. That way, you are not sitting there going through the calendar, going back and forth with this client or this prospect or this person, trying to find out what days that we can work. And the best thing about having a virtual assistant that you have to learn as an individual is you have to let go of control.
Wow. Now that's something that I know a lot of people probably have an issue with, is letting go
They
of.
would not be a good candidate for a virtual assistant if they want to be in control. And because what's the point? It's I liken it to somebody wants to hire a housekeeper, but they spend 4 hours the day before the housekeeper comes cleaning up because they don't want the housekeeper to see that they need cleaning. So you're paying them to do
But
what?
people do that all the time.
I know. I know that's a real thing. It's the same thing, is that sometimes people don't want to use their virtual assistant because they'll say, my handwriting is bad, I need to type this up before I give it to her.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
you develop a relationship and it's of trust, of loyalty and trust, and understanding that your virtual assistant is not going to do anything that's going to make you look bad. And
Okay.
you have to accept that she or he is going to ask questions to get to know you, to get to know your style, to get to understand you. She's not trying to rewrite your book or your letter. She's just trying to edit it so that it looks good.
I'm laughing at Mother
Lauren is
just got
something
that
else.
right. Karen had to pry my fingers from off half of the things she does for me.
But you have to be bold in your conviction that you want your client to look good. You want them to be happy. You want them to be satisfied. You want them to not cringe when the phone rings and it's you. You want them to know that I'm calling because I have a question and I'm trying to complete this task and maybe something's missing. Or as a virtual assistant, you can't be like years ago, there used to be secretaries, then it went to administrative assistant, and then it went to executive assistant. A secretary did whatever was put in her inbox, she just typed it. She didn't think about it, she didn't give her input. If it didn't make sense, oh well, that was his story, not mine. Okay. Then you got your administrative assistant who did a little more, traveled, took phone calls, but she was signing off on things and she didn't want to put her name on something that didn't look good. Then you got your executive assistant who might work with a team of people, or who might be the first person that the executive, their clients interacted with. And people knew that if the executive wasn't around, they could talk to the executive assistant. All right. So you take all those pieces together, and as a virtual assistant, you're wearing many hats, but your main thing is to be that front office, that introduction to the client, and you want everybody to be happy, to have the information, to know that they can call on you if they can't find the client, and that they know that you're going to follow through.
Okay. Well, Lauren also says you really have to be able to face your weaknesses. And he says that was very difficult for him to admit. He said, well, that was very difficult to admit what you need help with. Well, that wasn't difficult for me because I need help with everything. So, Karen, I've got to go to a quick commercial, and
Okay.
I will be right back. And we're going to delve more into, now we've talked about, what you do, but we're going to delve more into the relationship aspect of what you do. So
Okay.
we'll be right back with Karen Brown, virtual assistants to the stars. We'll be right back.
Teresa Pushkar is a communications dynamo. A one-of-a-kind author and edutainer, she weaves her potent message on the power of present moment living into everything she does. With a history as audiobook producer and the director of coaching programs at the motivational book publishing leader Nightingale Conant, she was graced to co-create programs with such wealth-building luminaries as Brian Tracy, Jay Abraham, and Robert Kiyosaki.
Teresa is my audio producer. She worked with me on The Missing Secret. She wrote the workbook for The Missing Secret. She sat behind the studio screen, almost like this gemstone who was just radiating this loving energy. And every time I'd look up from my reading and look up from the mic, I'd look out over there and there's her smiling face. And I so loved working with her that I said, I'm going to record another program. Can you come and be the radiating gemstone again?
It took less than 10 days. We had 3 strategy sessions. She came up with an outline, and then we went into the recording studio. She had all these questions, and she just interviewed me. We walked out of there with 8 hours of usable audio. That is like a 300 to 400 page book.
And I am so happy that your relationship with your daughter has improved. Hi, we are back. Now, if you would like some eye-popping videos or promos or book trailers done, you can reach me at Jan for now 125 at gmail.com. So if you would like to advertise and you saw some eye catching videos, you want to increase your visibility, again, you can contact me at janfornow125 at gmail.com or 1 877 667 7325. And remember, I am a communication relationship coach, and I especially love working with adult daughters and their moms when they have challenges in that relationship. Now, I'd like to bring back Miss Karen Brown. Hey, Karen.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hey, hey. So now let's talk about relationships. So I want to ask you this question. Have you ever had a prospective client and you knew right away this relationship will not work? And if you have, why? How did you know?
Well, I'm kind of dealing with that right now of a client that was referred to me, or a prospective client, I should say, was referred to me, called, we talked several times, and nothing has happened. Nothing has moved forward, I should say. All right. And in analyzing the situation, I always look to see if there's something different that I can do. Okay, to bring them across the line is my my thought process, my concept. And I always go back to the fact that when I do build a relationship with a client, and you've heard me say this before, you have to help me help you. All right. There has to be a give and take, a participation. Okay. I'm not asking you to work at my desk. I'm not going to run everything that I'm doing behind the scenes by you, but you have to make yourself available. Okay. It would be no different than you can't tell your nail tech that your nails are jacked up and you never keep your appointment. Okay. So in that case, you just know that they're not ready and that it's not going to work right now. It's not to say that later on down the line that you all can't revisit it and maybe build the relationship of being a virtual assistant to support them, but right now it's not working because you can't even get started.
Okay. Okay. So now have you had clients and you were working with them, but let's say in the middle of doing whatever it is you're doing for them, you decide that this is not working. And I don't mean a prospective client. I mean someone that you're working with,
An
period.
existing client, yes, and you can just say that what I've decided to do is once I determine that it's not a good fit, that's my thought process, that it's not a good fit, and I go back to that inquiry intake form, okay, because that's crucial to have some type of documentation to say what it is that we agreed upon, what it is that we decided that we're going to do. And let's just say for simplicity, if we say that there were 10 items on our list that we were going to tackle, and if we haven't hit any of them, that's clearly it's not a good fit. Okay. But maybe we have segued off of that, and it's a situation where they're trying to get more bang for their buck off of what we originally agreed to. Well, that's not going to work for me.
Okay.
Okay. Because it's not fair. And that's telling me that they don't have the proper integrity. Because
Okay.
some people would think that you're taking a risk by being an entrepreneur. And I'm sure that there have been situations where it has been risky. All right. But the thing that I love most about being a virtual assistant is that I have the flexibility to help my client to learn new things, which I wasn't getting to experience in the office environment, and to grow. And so I feel that God brought me to this point, and that that I'm blocking my blessings if I hold on to something that's not serving me.
Okay. And so now I started laughing.
Lauren is not a problem client.
Oh, really?
No. See, everybody can't be an executive assistant or a virtual assistant. Some people don't like the change. Some people don't like the flexibility. It doesn't bother me if we say we're going to meet at 10 and it has to be 10:15 or 10:30. You learn how to juggle. To me, being a virtual assistant is no different than if you had a large family. Everything doesn't go as planned every day. Okay. And I'll tell people sometimes when they'll say, I'm sorry, we have to change it. I said, yeah, but we changing it on the computer. We're not changing it on a regular typewriter. So it's not a problem for me. So that's part of your relationship. And another thing I think that's key in building a relationship is that you want to be trustworthy with your client as well as yourself. So for example, if someone asks me to do something that I'm not only am I not familiar with, or I'm not good at, or it's not my interest, I'll just say that's not my lane. Okay.
Oh,
I'll
okay.
say, oh no, that's not my lane. I don't want to mess that up. I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste your money. You want to take that to somebody else. And a lot of times people will ask me to do things because I have to admit I'm very fast. All right. I've learned to be quick because I never know what's coming down the pipe. Okay, that's how I had to operate in the office. I might have supported 35 people, and people say 35 people. Well, it wasn't like they were all lined up at my desk at one time. Half of them might be off on a job site. You know what I'm saying? And so you just learn how to juggle. I mean, it's not for everybody, and it's definitely not for the faint of heart.
So 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 is it too personal to ask you how many clients you have?
Well, it varies, and they're not all full time. And I'd say
Okay.
nine right now.
Okay. Well, now I can attest to the fact that you're very fast. You know, I'm like, woo, I gotta get this done.
And when you say clients, it doesn't mean it's not like on a job where you're working 9 to 5 and you have to give that all that concentration to that one client. I have clients that only need a few hours a week. And then, like I said, if you're a client, if I'm working with you, but we might be working on a project that has a timeline. Like when I did the book club, we worked on that for a couple of weeks prior to it launching. And then once the book club was done, then that was over.
Okay.
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 And then we move on to another project, or we kind of go into hiatus for a while, or we start working on something else that was on the list.
Okay. So now, okay, so with your client, like you have some that are long term and some that are short term. And what do you think and I would say that the relationships that you form with your clients, I'm sure some of them are just plain professional relationships, and some of them end up being personal relationships. So, what do you think is the most important thing as far as maintaining both your professional and your personal relationships that have come from your profession?
Well, I would change the comment a little bit,
Okay.
because I feel that all of my clients are my clients, and we are professionally personal. Okay.
I like that.
Okay. All right. And I say that because I learned a long time ago that Europeans thought that Americans were too businesslike, that we always wanted to chop, chop, just get right to the point. And in taking that thought in, I learned from employees that were on exchange programs, and they would come back and those would be their takeaways, that how much time does it really take to say, how was your weekend? I hope you've been getting some rest. I hope you've been spending some time with your family. Or how was that concert that you went to? Or sharing a movie or something. We are all human. We want to be seen. We want to be recognized for more than what we do. Okay. And so I like to say that it's professionally personal, because I want you to know that I care about that your family was sick, or that you had a flat tire on the road. It's not that I was going to come out with the tow truck and help you change the tire, but to just know that you probably had a little hiccup in your day, and I'm going to give you a few minutes. If somebody says, well, I'll be home at 2 o'clock, we can have a meeting at 2 o'clock. No, we can talk at 2:30.
Okay.
Okay, give them a chance to come in, get a sip of water, and relax. Okay, it's a lady told me, one of my managers told me a long time ago. We worked in public relations, and she saw this line of people standing at my desk, and they were just going all over, upset about some deadlines or something. And she stood up in the middle of the floor and said, "Hey, it's PR people, not the ER."
Oh,
So
okay.
calm down. It's all figure outable. And so I like to have a personal relationship, because I think it makes it more long lasting. It makes for a stronger relationship, because you can't be so by the book that you don't understand that somebody has to take their child to college and see about their dorm space.
Right. Right.
So you have to be flexible, and you can only do that if you build a personal relationship. Sometimes I'll say, hey, you've got 3 meetings back to back. You want to get your lunch ready early today? Because I don't want you passing out on my watch. And you can tell some people, they get hangry.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
Okay.
because they have had too many meetings and they didn't get to eat anything. And these
Okay.
are the things that you look out for, and you can't be afraid to say that, especially if they kind of mention, it's like, man, my eating is really, really bad. So I kind of lock that away, and then there'll be an opportunity where I'll say, have you had lunch today? And they're like, well, as a matter of fact, I have. Thank you.
Okay.
So that's how you endear your clients to you. And there's nothing phony or fake about it. It's
Right.
just you care about people. My daughter says all the time that I don't meet any strangers. I can talk to somebody in the store, and she's like, oh, well, when was the last time you saw her? I'm like, saw who? And she said, the lady you were talking to. I said, oh, I just met her. She said, and you all talked that long?
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
It's an authenticity about you. So, Karen, tell me, when you're not, this is another question that came in. What type of activities do you do when you're not working to relax?
I'm doing virtual line dancing at home.
Oh,
Yes, I found a lady who they weren't having the in person anymore,
uh-huh.
and she started a YouTube channel of doing online line dancing.
What's her name? I might know her.
Huh?
What's her name?
It's called Lines in Motion.
Okay, because I am a line dancer.
Okay, well,
I've
it's
been
really
line
good.
dancing for years.
I'll
Yeah.
share that information with you. I love movies. So now that the theaters are open, that was one of the things that I missed the most during the pandemic. So now that the movies are open, I've been going back to the movies, but I watch movies on the television, stream them, and my friends and I will all watch it together. We'll get on. Yeah,
Okay.
we'll get on together. There have been concerts online that I've been doing. I'm an avid reader. I love reading.
What kind of books?
A lot of self-help books, spiritual books, and some novels. But there's so much to learn right now. So I'm really been into some self-help books, devotionals, and things like that. Just staying in touch with my friends. I love travels. I've got a couple of trips coming up.
Oh,
Yes, I'm getting back on a plane. I'm excited about that. Spending time with my family. I mean, last week I went to a concert. I went out to dinner last night. So it's a lot of things to do.
girl, you got so much energy. Good grief.
I'll relax when I retire.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. So now, what advice would you give someone who might want to do what you do, who might want to be a virtual assistant?
My advice would be open up your ears, open up your eyes, and just look around and find a niche, find a need of something that needs to be done. For example, one of my friends was looking for a job, and the job wasn't going to start for a month. And so she just started reaching out to people, asking them if they needed any help with anything. And she was just honest that she needed to make a few dollars. And the requests started rolling in. As you and I were talking earlier, you will be surprised at the things that people will pay for. Okay. And sometimes the seed just needs to be planted, that if you have the idea, then God already gave you the God wink that
All
you have
right.
a skill. All right. So now it's up to you to open up your mouth and start sharing your idea, and it will eventually land with the right person.
I like that. I really like that. Well, I wanted to say here, Lauren says that my entire life has changed
Oh my
in the
God.
last few weeks since bringing Karen on board. I wish I would have done this years ago. And then he says, thank you, Dr. Jan, for sharing her with me. So I have to remind him that I'm just sharing.
Now, see how we have this relationship? You and I had a relationship. You shared me with Lauren, and now he and I have the relationship, because it's just all the energy, the chemistry, the genuineness, and it's all about love.
Yeah,
Loving what you do, loving people, caring about people. And that's
yeah.
why I said that I am the virtual assistant for you. And I didn't know until today that I was renamed the virtual assistant for the stars, because you're a star, he's a star, we're all stars. We are. We just have to go about and letting our light shine.
Yes, definitely, Karen. And audience, what I need to do here, if you are looking for an assistant and a virtual assistant and virtual assistant to the stars, this is who you need to contact. It's Karen at virtualassistforyou.com.
That's
That
it.
is Karen, virtualassistforyou.com. Whatever project you have to do, that you're looking to do, whether you are an entrepreneur starting out, you've been a business owner for a while, or even if you don't have a business and you have that project that you're looking at, and you keep saying, you know what, I need help. You need to contact Karen at virtualassistforyou.com. And I got some other things that I need. I got a whole list. So I don't know if you're going to have
Well,
time.
then we'll be together
Wait a minute.
forever.
I was going to say, I don't know if you're going to have time for Lauren. I'm going to have to talk to him.
No need to fight. No need to fight. There's plenty of me to go around.
Well, Karen, thank you so very much for being a guest on my show today. I have really enjoyed you, and you have given my audience a wealth of information. And I really hope that all of you out there, you see that across the bottom of the screen? I keep running it because I want you to have a chance to write it down. I don't want to hear, which I've heard. I didn't get a chance to see that. Who was that and what was it? I'm interested. So I'm running this across the bottom of the screen in the lower third. So Karen, thank you so much again. I have enjoyed you.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure. I really appreciate it. I enjoyed it as well.
All righty. So you have a beautifully blessed, well, we're in Chicago, so you're a beautifully blessed the rest of your evening.
That's right. Thank you so much.
All right, Karen. Take care.
All right. Talk to you soon.
All righty. Wow, that was a great guest and with a wealth of information. And you know what I really like about Karen, I like what she said about professionally personal. I really like that because I've always said relationships are everything. Life is about relationships. Relationships matter. And there are all kinds of relationship matters. So I will see you again next week with another guest that I know you're going to get a lot of information from, some entertainment from, some motivation from, and some inspiration from. So I want to say to you, have a blessed rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. And I guess I can share Karen with you. All righty. Bye-bye.